It's Sunday, which means it's a beautiful day for the weekly Q&A live session. Of course, we will be prioritizing questions coming from the YouTube member sections, and then we'll get into the Discord section a little bit later. You can, of course, contribute for free in the Discord section. All you need to do is find the link in the description below for Discord and find your way over here to the weekly Q&A forum post, and then find the most recent week. It's that simple. It's that easy. Anyone can do it. Actually, no, not everyone can do it, or at least that's what we found. Anyways, and of course on YouTube, it is just within the members section. Just go to the post section on this channel, and from there, we'll start it off with just a very quick analysis of Bitcoin. We can see 12-hour time frame for the price action pivot is calling a range, which I generally agree with. It's the same range actually as yesterday, but it is developing to potentially a new range low compared to what we had priorly within this week, which was Monday's low. Now switching over to Thursday's low at about 101,300, meaning that as long as Bitcoin is above 101,300 but below about 104,900, it's just a consolidation. It's just a consolidation, bro.tm. But yeah, anything between there just doesn't really change anything. Closing above about 105, let's say, to the upside, I'd be looking for Bitcoin to make a run at the highs, maybe even a slightly new high towards 110. It's not like a significantly new high, but yeah, it would be, I suppose, the more likely thing. Again, needs a closure above about 105, and to the downside, closing below that Thursday low at 101,300. That would be the beginning of what I would be looking for as, a decent correction for Bitcoin below $100,000. So yeah, anyways, other than that, I should acknowledge that the weekly HPDR for Bitcoin spot, which is going to be closing tonight, thus far has been a rejection of the 38.2 level. It's not, again, that's not a death sentence or nothing like that, but if you are going to correct from here, the median is going to be the obvious target. The median, however, will naturally shift massively to the upside, I would imagine, as we get this next week of price action opening for Monday. So, I would tentatively expect it to rise up like at least above $95,000. So that would be a corrective target if Bitcoin does, shift around there. But again, let's wait for that one to update because, like I said, that can change massively from week to week. All right, sweet. Let's start it off over here with the YouTube member section. We have Charles Kunstman, very, very difficult name to say, and also remain not unbanned on YouTube. Dumb question, but I'm sure everyone else has the same. All good, man. In your videos, the HBDR band's median is marked and highlights as two separate halves. Wait, what? Is there an update I'm missing? I did purchase the HBDR bundle when it first came out, and it does not show up on my Teachable account. By the way, loving the quantum wave bands. Awesome. Really glad to hear that. A lot of people have been loving that as well. It's super cool to see. But anyways, okay, I'm trying to figure out what do you actually mean by this. The median is marked and highlights as two separate halves. I don't know I really don't know what you mean. There's only one median. It's the white line on this one. If you have something else going on in your charts, I think you might have screwed around with the settings over here. There was an update maybe like a month and a half ago. So it's been a while. It's very likely you've already seen it. But perhaps you're referring to the different like range conditions that I have on here, in which maybe you're talking about this one, because a lot of people have been asking questions about my fib numbers on this. These are the numbers that I like to use. There's not necessarily like a right or wrong way to use it, but I just find that these work really, really well. You can see Bitcoin respecting, both of these levels, in this case to the upside at the 38.2 level. So maybe that's what you mean, but perhaps you could clarify for next week, because is marked and highlights as two separate halves. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that, to be honest, because I don't see it. There's only one median. It's the white line. Everything else is just, different historical returns range percentages. So yeah. All right. Apologies, man. I don't feel like I did a good job on that one, but I would need a point of clarification for this to work. Cousin Burley says, "Hey Crown, what is your experience knowledge of breakout prop? Who do you recommend this for? I noticed it advertised in your Teachable. Thanks for the insight." Yeah. So breakout prop is TraderMain's company. It is a prop shop, obviously, which it's not unheard of for many prop shops to be really fucking shady. I'll put it that way. But I know TraderMain. He's honestly a stand-up guy. He's now been having breakout prop, I think, for the past couple of years. And while I haven't tried it myself, like with a fresh account, I have had several friends now who have gone through their whole system and they haven't had issues. They haven't had issues getting payouts. They haven't had, major issues with the rules, because that's another place that many prop shops, especially that you see online for, crypto or Forex, they will kind of fuck you on that like pretty badly, honestly. Breakout prop seems maybe a little bit more reasonable. And of course, breakout prop, I think their big value proposition is just that they are the only prop shop that I'm aware of that where you can trade, like actual shitcoins and altcoins. Many other prop shops, you can trade Bitcoin as well. So that's nothing new for this one, but I've just been getting so many questions about getting funded and all these sort of things. And look, like, I don't think being a funded trader is the ultimate goal. I think it's a great starting goal because it gives you a target. It gives you risk management conditions. There are, yes, some tax advantages of trading from that. But at the end of the day, I have a hard time arguing against the inherent advantage of trading your own money. I think in almost all cases, it's going to be better if you can do that. But of course, when you're first starting, or maybe if you're super young, or maybe you're just, crawling your way out of some sort of a hole, you don't have access to real capital in order to trade in a way that is going to, really give you something back. So assuming that you've already, of course, gone through the very nasty process of learning how to trade, and you just need access to capital, I think that a prop shop can be a really, really good option. I mean, I did start with the prop shop myself. It's a much different environment, to be fair. This was not like these scammy online ones. This was an in-person equity options market making prop shop, but it was a prop shop nonetheless. So, starting off there, I think can be really, really, really good experience. But once you actually have your own, equity saved up, it's almost always going to be better to trade your own equity. What's up, HWK on X here? We are live on X, by the way. Base 4267 says UNH stock weekly, monthly. All right, our first request. Let's go to this chart. Okay, UNH is United Health. Yeah, so they're probably not going to be doing too good after this past week. And what do you know? Yeah, absolutely fucking catastrophic. Look, I think that you probably do find a low here, honestly. When you see volume spikes like this, you're at a climax. Now, sometimes the climax can climax a little bit lower. Yes, that does happen for sure. But whether it bottoms here, whether it comes a little bit lower, you're probably seeing the overwhelming majority of this downside. So yeah. Anyways, the question quite literally is, we close to finding a bottom? I would say 100% yes. See, weekly, this is a volume bar that has outdone anything in its history for like the past, for over 25, 26 years now. And even then it actually did more volume than this one back here. And this is trading at a much higher price. So, overall, these sort of things which happen on news, they usually mark around the bottom in terms of time. So yeah, I think that this one probably is. You can see the monthly also more or less testing the 200 simple. This just does not happen very often. For example, the last time you saw something like this was actually in the last global financial crisis in 2008. Actually, I'm glad that you brought this one up because I'm going to add it to my list because, buy when there's blood in the streets. All right, nice one. Yeah, I do think that you're thinking in the right direction there. And if it does have another, swipe to the downside, just anywhere around here, low 200s is fair game. But yeah, don't do it on leverage. I'll put it that way. That one can end very, very poorly. All right, I think that's it for the YouTube comments. I see that there's 4 comments here, but apparently one is like hiding or something like that. Maybe they deleted it. All right, cool. Let's get over to the Discord section here. How deep into this one are we already? 10 minutes about. Okay, cool. Mr. Van Doysen is first, says, "Hey babe, sorry no jokes today. I'm in a bad mood and had a shit night's sleep." All good, brother. A bad night of sleep makes a coward and an asshole out of us all. Can you please help me? For Plume USD, I'm trying to figure out the possible upside targets. There's really no way to do upside targets for shitcoins like this with a very minimal amount of history, man. So that's honestly why you can't figure out upside targets, because there's not, man. Now you do have trend here, which is in your favor, and is essentially in your favor as long as you're above the 6th of May low at 16 cents. So, I'm generally going to like a chart like this because it does have a nice upwards, structure and everything. But as far as generating targets, I mean, this thing hasn't even broken out yet. You know, where is your breakout? Your breakout's going to be above, what is it, this high here from the 14th of May, basically 20, almost 21 cents on it, you know, on a daily closing base. At that point, you probably get a free ride to your prior all-time high. At judging targets from there, I don't think that you can do it on something that's this new, man. Like, you got to be realistic with shit like this. When, you know, if you have many, many years of history, sure, okay, we can talk about, you know, real targets from that. But that assumes that it even breaks out to the upside. While I do think that this is overall good and it does have a nice uptrend, if it does break below the 6th of May's low at 16 cents, close below there, I'd be looking for this one to come all the way back down to like 13 or so. So that's like, what, a 20% move almost? Something like that. Cool. Let's go down the list. We have Mr. Hey, Rectops is, you're everywhere, man. You're here, there, and everywhere. Can you take a look at Coin, please? Very glad I bought back into Coin. Jesus Christ, man. What a fucking move here. Now, we were looking for a big move up with my LARP line, but I think with the way that this one's going, I don't think it's going to be one of these, or at least I don't think it's going to be a bull trap in that way. I think this one actually does have a real shot to trade back north of $300. Is there going to be a correction in between? Probably. You know, I think this next week of price action is going to be kind of difficult, honestly. But overall, a volume bar like this on a real breakout on a weekly time frame like that is significant. Again, you know, massively outweighing anything else. So while I do think you might see a bit of a pullback, maybe it comes back down to like 240, 250-ish region. You know, overall, I think you're going to be heading back up towards about $300. At that point, I should probably reference the weekly, or sorry, the monthly. Yeah, I don't see anything super obvious here. The quarterly could make me an ultra bull. If that's even a word. I would say any sort of move down to low 200s, like 220-ish region, is a buy for me. I mean, I already own this thing. Again, full disclosure, like I am biased here, obviously. But if this thing could even just trade above January's high at 310, which I do think it'll get at least close to like 290 or 300, so it's not really that far away, that'll be a bullish engulfing dildo. And at that point, you know, this thing's going to have a fucking monstrous move. So yeah, man. Overall, I like it. I did buy it after the successful retest of the 200 simple here on the weekly. You know, not like perfectly timed, obviously, but I like buying, off of a move like this on hidden bullish divergence. And that was in the low 200s. So fair enough. Anyways, let's move on. Hamia says, GM, sir, if Bitcoin closes above $100,000 by end of May, opens the door to 120, what price targets do you have for Ethereum comparatively? Okay, so we're making an assumption here that Bitcoin closes above $100,000, which is definitely possible. We still got another little bit less than 2 weeks now in trading in May. So, you know, a lot can happen there, both good and bad, obviously. But so we're going to run with that assumption that Bitcoin's above $100,000. What would be, and if it's above $100,000, and the next, logical target is going to be about 120 or so, maybe in the next month or two, what would we expect for Ethereum? At least low 3,000s, 33 to 3,500. We can see the monthly on Ethereum is actually developing some hidden bullish divergence here, and it'd actually be 3 drives as well. So, that should at least get it to the low 3,000s. If it's a really good one, it'll get up to like 37 or 3,800. At that point, you're basically at the highs of this past year of 2024. So wouldn't really take too much after that to like get a real legitimate breakout, with new all-time highs implied. But one thing before the next, and when it comes to hidden bullish divergence or hidden bearish divergence, I usually look for range plays, primarily, rather than continuation plays, even though technically it does very often work out like that. So yeah. Oh man, that coffee is doing fucking work on my stomach, man. Myth Reindeer says, hello there. The summer is close. Time flies. I'm in Finland, sir. Summer ain't close. Summer's still like 2 months away. It feels like it's, if you could see outside right now, it is not nice. Anyways, let's assume 120 to 130 is indeed happening in a month or two. Okay, again, assumption here. Do you still see Solana around 200 to 220, or would it be higher? Solana would be among the group that would potentially make new all-time highs with Bitcoin, because it was one of the better actors earlier on within the cycle. But I mean, shit, man, like it's a 50% move. Let's look at Sol BTC. Would we expect it to outpace Bitcoin or not? No, I'd be expecting this one to go down. This is like Ethereum's chart, Ethereum Bitcoin chart right here. Almost exactly too. It's just not as shitty yet. Yeah, and with a bearish engulfing quarterly like we saw for Q1, yeah, I'd be expecting Bitcoin to outpace it. So I would not expect Solana to have a bigger move than Bitcoin comparatively. So for Bitcoin, that would be about a 20 to 30% move. So actually, yeah, I would say about let's call it like a little bit above, at least above 200, but maybe like 210 to 230-ish region, I would say is like very, very likely alongside that. Still potential for new highs, but that would be like my high probability area of interest, if you will. So yeah. Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, your idea with having the same format of questions, but for strategy sounds amazing. Yeah, and we just did our first video actually, or I just recorded the first video earlier, right before this video. So I'll post that up, I don't know, later today or tomorrow. I don't know when the best time is for this because I already got like a full schedule on my YouTube. Amin says, hello, Crown and Elsa. Hope you have a good day. You as well, sir. Thank you for that. Can we take a look at TON coin on the daily and weekly? TON is Telegram's shitcoin, right? It's bad. Daily, I mean, you do have a higher low in place right here. Maybe gets a short-term rally back up to like 3.25, but this is not the thing you want to be in during an overall bull market. This is garbage. Weekly is going to have potential for hidden bearish divergence. Assuming that it closes anywhere below 320 by the end of today. So even though, the daily looks like it might have another rally attempt here, I don't know if it's going to be enough, man, or it need to happen sooner rather than later as well. If this thing does get a nice explosion to the upside, the very obvious area of interest would be the 200 simple, which is 440 and coming down. But I feel like that's more hopium than anything else right now. I think that this one's a lot more likely to break down, honestly. If that one does confirm hidden bearish divergence and then takes out like 275 subsequently, I'd be looking for just this one to completely unravel back down below $2, 180 to 190 if that were to happen. But the day is long, the week is long, so maybe it's a little bit too early to be judging this thing. But yeah, I'm not going to look at a chart like this and say, yeah, man, it's going to new all-time highs or anything like that. It's not good. Short-term rallies are kind of the only rallies that I'd be looking for. So if it wants to try another move towards 3.25, 330, that's fine. But as long as you're below even this last lower high from the 11th, from basically one week ago Sunday, the trend is down. And if you do reclaim that high, I'll just be looking around 420 to 440-ish region. And even at that point, I'd probably be saying that's a good place for another stoppage as well. Yeah. All right, let's go down the list. We have Samuel Johnson next. He says, hey, Crown, you've mentioned you've reduced your position size recently. This has really been ongoing for the past 2 to 3 years now, almost, due to wanting to protect your gains. Oh, okay, you're talking about like this cycle very specifically. By how much are we talking here? 50% smaller trade positions? I mean, if you incorporate it into the reductions that I've been doing since like the height of my active trading, it's actually not that much. It would be maybe closer to 40% if I wanted to be like a little bit more exact. Will you keep these lower trade sizes throughout the bear market? I mean, yes. Like I'm in the process of switching into more of a long-term investor type of person, and I want to be, putting my equity towards that at this point in my life. So yeah, it's been reduced by about 40%, I'd say. Will I keep it about the same in the bear market? I'll probably reduce it a little bit more. But this has been an ongoing thing for me. So I just have planned to continue to reduce these things. And for the automated strategies that I run anyways, they're long strategies. So it's like, I'm going to reduce in a bear market anyways. Hopefully I can get that, hopefully I can get that down to like 30. Well, I guess it would be minus 70% of what it was before. So 30%. Yeah. Let's see. The Muzzlefucker says, dear good sir, why does the AI make you look like a dwarf? It's actually a chaos dwarf, sir. Straight out of the Lord of the Rings series. Could you please take a look at SAI and let me know about potential cycle top targets for this esteemed piece of technology? SEI, okay. This one sounds familiar. Looks like another ugly ass shitcoin, man. This one also has potential for hidden bearish divergence on the weekly, just because you are making higher highs than that swing high from mid-February right here. And thus far, it's actually been rejected a little bit lower. Now, this is not a confirmed local high just yet. And the daily does look like it wants to try a short-term upside move. So this one is certainly not confirmed just yet. In fact, the daily probably does try and move towards like 25 cents first. But does that matter for you? Because you are looking at potential cycle top targets. I mean, they're like, that was your cycle top right there, man. This one will not, I highly doubt that this thing will trade above this high during this cycle, or maybe even for the eternity of eternity. This is just like your traditional shitcoin chart, man. You get your first major move to the upside, dump back down, bull trap, dump back down, and then it's just lower highs from there. If you do get one major massive pump, I would be looking somewhere around this area here, which is about 40 cents. So almost about a 2x from where you're at right now. But, follow the trend, man. I mean, high or low, high, or high, low, lower high, lower low. Like if it does bounce back up here, just be looking for another lower high. Anywhere within this region here is fair game. That's even assuming that it does anything, to be honest, man. I personally don't think that you're going to see anything even above this December high from last year. Just shooting you straight, man. Most of these things will not. Even if Bitcoin does have like a parabolic move to, even like deep 100s, I don't think that you're going to see these sort of moves on altcoins. I think that this market is like massively bifurcating now, to be honest. Tristram says, hello. Thank you for sharing free gold bars with MetaSignal's short setup. Fuck yeah, man. Glad that one treated you well. Can't wait for Pimp My Strategy content. Yeah, that's what I should name it, Pimp My Strategy. That's actually really, really good. Are you going to look on Money Manage as well if I submit my own system? No, because that's so it's such like a personal thing. Everyone's going to be so different. So it's like whatever I say about that it's not going to be relatable to anyone else, because we're all different. We all come from different backgrounds. We all have different current financial situations. We all have different, goals with what we're trying to do in the markets anyway. So yeah, it's just not going to work. I remember anytime Bitcoin made some huge moves, you were always tired AF, telling us you've been trading all night long. Yeah, I mean, that was like back when I was actually actively trading. Could you recall examples of such trades? Although honestly, that didn't happen like too often. Sometimes yes. Like if there was a really tremendous move and it happened overnight, I would wake up in the middle of the night and actually like follow things. Yes. But it's been a long time since I've really done something like that. Could you recall examples of such trades? I remember the most recent one, or at least the most recent one in memory, was back here in 2021, coming off of this major dumpola. There's just tremendous moves in a very short amount of time. And I had a bunch of alerts going on at this time. I was still manually trading at this time as well. And I just remember, I think it was like this one right here, that first move below about $50,000. I remember waking up, in the middle of the night several times. It's not necessarily because I wanted to wake up in the middle of the night. Like sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night because like I just do to go pee and shit like that. Not shit, but like pee. Anyways, so I'd be looking at charts, and then of course one thing leads to the next, and all of a sudden you're like in trades, and you're like, wait, why did I do this? I want to sleep. It's fucking stupid. Or sometimes I'd open up a trade like a little bit later at night, and it would still be live while during a time where I want to be sleeping, and just kind of like baby it then. But for the most part, all that stuff was done in this region here, and to a very lesser extent, a very much lighter extent, I do recall actually now, there was some times in 2022 during this sell-off very specifically where I did the same as well. But it's certainly not something that I enjoyed doing, or, looking back on it, like it wasn't smart at all. Excuse me. All right, cool. Oh, you got, okay. You know some PEDs. That's awesome, man. I probably should hit you up about that, but right now I'm not doing anything. I was looking into peptides, but I feel like I need to go to America first because it's too difficult to get here in Europe. All right, Tobo says, GM, I hope you're feeling good and hydrated. Actually, yes, thank you. I love stocks that only go up. Yes, that is always nice, but I don't like buying at or near all-time highs. So now you see my dilemma. yes, that is a dilemma. You don't respect the trend, but maybe you have a different strategy. Looking for a long-term entry on the stock RBC. Okay. This thingy. Long-term entry. So I'm going to go to like a weekly and monthly on something like this. You just had your entry right there, man. When this thing comes back down to test like a major moving average, you fucking buy. And you don't worry about it. You stop thinking about it. And you just had your opportunity right there. So yeah, this thing's probably going to go parabolic from here, to be honest. And then the next time you come down to this one, it's probably going to break, and you're probably going to see a move to the green one, which has been a pretty nice bottoming area, even though, yes, sometimes you do get big wicks below. But yeah, man, I think that this move, you missed it. If it comes back down to April's low, I wouldn't buy it. I would be waiting for somewhere closer to here at like 240 to 250-ish region, if anything. So yeah. Again, you gave me like a very long-term preference there, so that's why I'm using the monthly, just so that we're on the same page. Brad Walt says, hello, I hope you are well. I still watch every morning for awesome, man. Thank you. Do you have an opinion on the 15-minute opening range breakout strategy? What's 15-minute opening range breakout strategy? For NASDAQ. Yeah, you can trade lower-term timeframes for NASDAQ. That's fine. Different story in cryptocurrency land. Basically, a high or low breakout on the first 15-minute candle for the day. Look, I haven't looked into the strategy myself. What I could say is back test it, sir. That's the only way you're going to know. I'm not going to go through like a full-on back testing on this video because my time is limited, and this can take like a lot. That can easily take like an hour itself. So. Do you have any suggestions to avoid false breakouts? I mean, other than what I typically share in my programs, which is, look, if you're going to trade ranges, it needs to be objectively defined in some way, meaning that you need to find an indicator that can actually code in your support and resistance. And then you could actually potentially trade from that because you'd actually be able to backtest it in an objective format. But other than that, man, like I'd really, really, really caution against like just drawing lines in the chart and then, doing it by hand. And this is a recipe for long-term disaster. You can do well in the short term for sure. Anyone can win a trade on a singular basis, but over a long period of time, it's going to be really fucking difficult, man. It's a very subjective way of trading, to be honest, man. So yeah. You're literally talking about the higher low of the first 15-minute candle. I mean, again, just back test it. So that actually is objective, but you could back test that. So yeah, maybe there's something there, maybe there's not. I don't know. But like I said, I'm not going to do the testing for you right now, to be honest, man. Lovewoods, what's up, man? Good morning to you. Spy weekly. Okay, higher term time frame for you. Let's see. This one actually closed like really well, but. All things considered, I mean, this is a really good place for a bit of a pullback. Maybe it guns for 6,000 even first. It's not that far away, to be fair. But, if this thing wants to pull back to like 58 or even fill the gap down here at like 57, that's fine. It's had just 6 straight weeks of upside. Like that's completely fine and reasonable to expect. So, yeah, I would be more on the side of a pullback here in the short term. And this is one that we've been bullish on for a while, but and I will actually continue to be bullish on it on the higher term time frame. But I just think that you're a little bit more poised for a pullback here. If it came back down to 5,800, that would look pretty decent to me. But yeah, I mean, monthly looks really fucking good. Again, it's a little bit too early to judge the monthly, but yeah, as of right now, it looks pretty fucking good. Trying to look for some super obvious. So yeah, maybe a little bit higher, like 6,000 even, hits the round even number and then plays out a bit of a pullback. But yeah, I mean, this thing can afford, this thing could come all the way down to 5,700 and that would be a higher low. I mean, your last price action pivot is almost 5,600. So it's got a lot of room there, for error. Kind of makes it difficult, to be honest, but yeah. All right. Ant6673 says, GM, could you please check out NASDAQ TTWO? These guys published all the Grand Theft Autos. Did they? I thought it was TTWO. Take-Two Interactive. All right. For some reason, I have like a different, isn't it Rockstar? Maybe that's a different thing. Anyways, curious to know whether you think it could be a good buy since GTA 6 is being released next year. I mean, look, You know that Grand Theft Auto is going to be released next year. I know it's going to be released next year. Everyone else knows it's going to be released next year. Your edge is not going to be in that. Your edge is going to be in the general trend here. And I mean, overall, this is good. Overall, this is a pretty massive fucking girthy uptrend, but you're going to ride and die on a fucking video game release, which has already been, delayed, I think, several times. So if they delay again, then you get fucking crushed again. Terrible way to set up trades, in my opinion. But if I'm going off of anything right here on the weekly, like this thing also looks like it, could very easily pull back a little bit. I would not say that is enough for me to take a trade. Again, you don't have insider information. You have the same information as everyone else there. So everyone fucking knows that. And then second off, you have big risk if they delay it again or anything like that, man. So, could be catastrophic, if that plays out like that. But, long term, I mean, this is a good chart. Like, if it did pull back to low 200s, I feel like that would be pretty good. But yeah, if your edge is, well, they're releasing a game next year, don't think so, man. I'm not saying that it might not work. It's just you're whatever that thesis is not going to serve you well long term. Texas SIGEP 13 says, quick pro tip for anyone using Caretaker's crossover indicator on TV to hide that long ass title. Oh yeah, I mean, it's a good point of clarification. I think most people would hopefully know that, but yeah, you can get rid of all the indicator values. In fact, that's what I do on most things. This one, no, but I did reduce it significantly from how big it usually is, right? Anyways, do you mess with yield max ETFs at all? No, I don't. It's just not my game. Check out Beauregards when you get to Boca. Beauregards and Boca. Nice name. Sure, man. I'll have to add that one to the list as well. Still like far and away, to be honest. Till Death one says, best to you, sir. Best to you as well. Why is it that Caretaker's RSI will print some divergences and not others? For example, on May 8th, on Bitcoin 12-hour chart, when the evening candle closed, it could have printed a divergence or a hidden div, but it didn't. Let's see. First, let's make sure that your identification of this is right. But also, I mean, sometimes Caretaker's RSI will just miss stuff. Like no one indicator is going to be perfect, man. It's impossible to do. So that you have to make concessions in some ways from like a coding perspective. All right, 8th. Okay, I'm guessing you mean the 8th of May. And well, there was hidden bullish divergence there actually. Yeah, there was hidden bullish divergence there. So I'm guessing this was maybe like a little bit too premature or something like this. That you were looking at it, because it needs to see that depending upon what your criteria is on the RSI, like the pivot logic. So I'm using close above or below. You could also use wick above or below. But yeah, it depends on the logic that you're using. But I like to use a little more conservative logic. Yes, it does mean I'm gonna miss out on better entries, but they're going to be, more likely to play out when it does identify divergence. In that case, you can see the results. Jim Bob 365 says, "Hey Crown, thanks for helping us. All good, man. I'll do my best. I can't always promise that it will be helpful, but it is what it is. I think we should revisit the Gaussian channel in the 5-day time frame. I haven't looked at this one in like a long time, but sure. Let's get rid of this for now, and let's put on the Gaussian. Okay, you're saying that we should, always a terrible way to posture things, but come down to the median, I'm guessing you mean? Let's see. Let me read this out again. We should revisit the Gaussian channel. Okay, I'm guessing you mean either the median or the top side of the channel. Top side of the channel, you can effectively say was retested, in this area right here. Again, it's not going to be perfect, man. I don't like that sort of terminology where it's like should, because there is no rules, man. Anything can happen. A bit of reflection and forward look, if you could. What would you be thinking for a second test? I don't think that way. I don't think that way at all, man. The way that I look at something like this, like the Gaussian channel, is that it gives you an edge when price comes down to it, not when price is above it or anything like this. But if price comes down to like the top end right here, okay, maybe I'll look for a short-term bounce. If it comes down to the median, the median, maybe I'll look for reversal, but you can't just say, oh, well, price is far from it, so it must come down. Like, no. Like, obviously this is not going to work. This is a great way to just lose everything. Your edge is when price is actually testing one of these components of it, not when it's far away. That's in no offense, it's a terrible way to be using it. And again, I'm not calling you terrible or anything like this. Just like, you're going to lose a shit ton of money thinking like that, man. There's no way to know that. You have an edge when price comes down here, not up here. Like, you can't just say, well, price is above, so it should come down again. It's like, no. There is no rule with that. It's just, you have an edge when it's around here, when it's around here, when it's down around here. That's the way that I look at things. Prince 11 says, saw you made a long-term investing channel. Yes, indeed. What are your thoughts on venture capital investing in startups, as they typically have a long-term horizon? I've heard 9 out of 10 of them are expected to fail, but that one winner, for example, Uber, is expected to outperform all the losers. Yeah, that's a general idea. I don't do venture capital investing. It's not my game. I just like long-term investing in already established stocks. It's not going to make you like a quadrillionaire or anything like this. No, but it is going to help grow your wealth over a long period of time. If you're really in that sort of equity generation phase, then yeah, I mean, of course, you have a lot more potential upside with startups, as a venture capitalist, but it's a much more difficult game. And honestly, people like to talk shit about the VCs in crypto, but I actually have a lot of respect for them, because it's fucking hard. It's fucking hard to pick winners. People think that, you just invest in whatever and it goes up. Like, maybe that was true in 2017 for ICOs, but it's probably even worse than 9 out of 10. It's probably 99.9 out of 100, to be honest. But yeah, if you do get a big winner, it's a fucking unicorn, man. It really is. Mr. Barash says, hype USDT on KUDERP. This one actually had a really good response in this recent rally. I have it on my list here somewhere, I know. It's alphabetized, so it should be, yes, right there where H should be. Okay, so this one has popped back up, tested the February highs, is kind of selling back down from that test, but the daily already looks really strong here. I mean, I really have to ask myself, is this thing really could actually break to the upside here? And if it does, if it closed back above Friday's high, I mean, this thing could easily go 30 plus, like 30 to 32. So that would be my sort of line in the sand. But, if I'm going off of any other like traditional TA metrics, I'd say, hey, this is a perfect place for a pullback region. Just like priorly, this one was over here. It did eventually break through, yes, but creates a new range. And, 28.35 or 36 is the upside versus 26.30 to the downside, basically. Close above here and sure, yeah, 30, 31, 32, maybe even new highs, but very, very good. But personally, when I see something like this, I'm thinking pullback here. And when I look at the weekly, when I look at the higher term timeframes, it's really not that much history, to be fair, but I would still be betting on a pullback from this region. I don't think it's going to break out before a little bit of a pullback first, just to put my own opinion on it. But yeah. Nick L says, thank for the daily content. All good, brother. I was checking out the new Caprioli investment site since it's been updated, in particular energy value. I noticed every time Bitcoin price action closes above the Bitcoin energy value SMA, we rip, and vice versa. If Bitcoin price action closes below, we dip, similar to move and average strategies. Would like to hear your thoughts. I mean, I really don't want to go off of these websites right now, but Caprioli. Okay, Jesus fucking Christ. Why is this so difficult to spell? Caprioli. Yeah, it's this one here. All right, we can just briefly look at it. You said the energy charts. Okay. Let's see. Energy values. First one that pops up. Okay, so when price is above, let's go to weekly. Wow. Well, if that is the way that it works, which it actually really does seem. I'm glad that you brought this up. I'm going to write this down. This is very interesting. This is very interesting to me. Okay, so I think that, in the very early times of Bitcoin, I think that you do kind of have to close your eyes for that, because it's not representative of the whole. When it did reclaim it over here, yes, big fucking rally. When it lost it over here, well before it lost it over here. Oh, sorry, this is back to 2015, not to 2011. So, Yeah, so it was January where it broke out. I think that was the first time it was above like $1,000 again. Yeah, it was. Okay. Moves below here. So it's a little bit late to the party for just general downside, but it does get there. Wouldn't have helped you right here, but yeah, well, would have had you longing the top of this rally here. Let's see, is it the same on a daily? Yeah, it is the same on a daily. Okay, so let's go back to the weekly. Just easier to see shit here. So again, not perfect. Gets caught below. Yes, that's your Rona dump. Reclaims it over here. Boom, big move up. Obviously, if you're waiting for that to come down for the 2021 correction mid-cycle, then wrecked. And again, didn't really cross again below until Bitcoin broke below about $35,000. So a little bit late to the party in both ways, it seems like to me. And we did see Bitcoin price close above it, on that first move above $100,000 a few months ago. And obviously, we did not see a parabolic move from there. So yeah, I don't have any analysis on this, man. I don't have any analysis on this. It's not consistent enough. Cloud says, hello, Dr. Crown. Yes, Dr. Crown. Actually, I did I did take pre-med, but I dropped out. I think I have a case of severe redactedness. Please help. Oh, dear Lord. I'm looking for a likely bounce on Ethereum Bitcoin pair to the 382 fib taken from the last cycle high, which is around, okay, let's do this simultaneously. Yeah, okay, Ethereum Bitcoin. How are we doing on time? 41 minutes into this bitch. All right, let's go to a monthly look. I'm guessing you're talking about, no, you are talking about 4.4. So that's like here. Talking about this one. Okay. All right. Taken from the last cycle high, which is around, 4.4 million Satoshis. I don't know if that's the last cycle high, but it's just this little swing area right here. Maybe I'm missing something, but yeah, that's nowhere near the actual cycle high. Anyways. Okay, cool. Given that Ethereum has been quite weak, I'm assuming that this level is only hit in a strong, when Bitcoin is in a strong uptrend, probably at new all-time highs, say 120, but this would put Ethereum at new all-time highs, about 5.3. And at that point, I would expect Ethereum to rally much more. I know I've made quite a few assumptions here, but I think they're somewhat reasonable thoughts. Yeah, man. So I think you're having a severe case of prior cycle-itis where you get caught in love with popular assets from past cycles and expect them to do something similar in current cycles. And versus Bitcoin, Ethereum actually follows the traditional shitcoin chart of Destiny, which is one major pump up and then just generally trending down since then. Now, just because Ethereum was good in it wasn't even that great in 2021, right? I mean, it did make new highs, yes, but percentage-wise, just wasn't as interesting as most other things. The point that I'm getting to is that, I think you're applying the rose colored goggles from past cycles to this cycle. And I think if anything, Ethereum is just starting to be more like most of the shitcoins, to be honest. You're looking for Ethereum to rally to the 382. It already has gotten there. This one's very likely going to get higher than that, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if it even got back around 4 million Satoshis, but your initial assumption is so different than what maybe you're doing this. Oh, that's what you're doing. Okay. So yes. All right. I think I read your comment wrong. Yeah. I actually do think it's going to get somewhere back around here. But remember, the ratio can improve between Ethereum and Bitcoin, even if both of them go down versus US dollar. So your initial assumption is like, it's a big assumption because that doesn't need to happen for this to go up. Ethereum can just go down a little bit less fast than Bitcoin. And this will also go up as well. So yeah, the initial assumption is just, it's too much. Lo Machilla Azul says, hey bro, just one question. Can the quantum wavebands be used with the Altrady bots? I would assume so, if they're like webhook bots, hold on. Let's look at their website. Alttrady.com, I'm guessing. Let's see. Features. Show me the features, you derp. Okay, just show me what the fucking features are, you bastard. Oh, you fucking asshole. I'm not making a goddamn account. Maybe it's this. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of this. Look, if they're like a webhook based type thing that just takes signals that are generated from TradingView and then sends it out to an exchange, then the answer is yes, which is how most of these things work. But if this thing is like some sort of, if it's something else, then no. But yeah, I'm not going to go through all of that right now, to be honest with you, man. I do think that there are some people using that one because I've seen that name before in the Discord. Leia says, "Good day, Crown. Could you please analyze Ondo?" Sure. All right, let's see what Ondo is looking like. Ondo Derpo. Bad. Again, it's just one major range here. You tested the top side of the range. You've already come down to the middle of the range, which is the usual likely sort of target. Yeah, right at the 50% retracement level right there. Should be a bounce from where you're at right now, but nothing really to get excited about here as long as you're below range highs at 114 and above range lows at like 75 cents. So short term should have a bounce though. Should try another upside move. Does have hidden bullish evidence on the daily as well. So, wouldn't be surprised to see it back around like a buck, a little bit above a buck. Very bullish above last Wednesday's high. Well, very bullish is a bad terminology, but probably another like 30% move to 130 or 140 region. So that's not bad, but long term, yeah, really starting to look to me like it's entering into the long term shitcoin chart of destiny. All right. What else we got? Q Stir says, "Hello, sir. Been watching you since 2020. Hell yeah, man. Love to hear that. If you can please look at Ethereum on the 4-hour and daily." All right. I got Ethereum right here. Start high and then go low. Well, I do want to acknowledge the monthly time frame does have potential for hidden bullish divergence here of 3 drives variety. I mean, we spoke about this earlier within this video, but if that does confirm, which will confirm anywhere here or higher, especially, I think you're looking at 32 to 3,300 at minimum. In this upcoming rally. As far as the daily goes, let me put back all my moving averages. I'm looking at this as a consolidation between 2,700 as the highs versus 2,400 as the lows. As long as you caught between there, nothing super interesting. Probably gets another run at the highs, playing out that bullish divergence or hidden bullish divergence, but doesn't necessarily imply that it's going to break above for right now. Overall, I'm a little bit more biased towards this one correcting further down first and then trying an upside move rather than just bulldozing its way to new highs from here. If I'm on the 4-hour time frame, short term, yeah, again, rally, hidden bullish divergence on the 4-hour, probably good enough to get it back up to 26 maybe, something like that. I actually saw a meta signal set up as well, suggesting 2,600, I believe. So yeah. All right, Mati. Hey, fellow Finn here. Actually, I saw your post from yesterday. that was pretty crazy. Actually, Elsa told me about that same news story just that morning. So it's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, you're in Espo. Espo looks really, really nice, honestly. You mentioned stablecoin dominance reaching the support levels from last year would probably mark the top for Bitcoin. Do you think there's a chance that the support would actually break and dominance would go even lower, perhaps down to levels from 2021? Okay. First, I need to make sure that I'm on the same page as you as like what we're actually talking about. So these are the levels from 2021. So all the way back down here. All right, let me just read this question again. I want to make sure that I get it right. For a fellow Finn, do you think there's a chance that support? Okay. Oh, support levels of last year. So that would be this one right here at about 54 and a quarter. Is it possible to break? Of course, anything is possible, right? But I think it just makes it so difficult to make calls on this thing because of the way that it operates. I mean, you got endless amounts of shitcoins being added every fucking day to this calculation, which are more or less worthless. So that's just naturally going to drive up the Bitcoin dominance because it's an actual number. It doesn't even need to change. But if you add a bunch of shit coins that are naturally doing worse, then of course this is going to go up. So I think it would be quite difficult. But yeah, if you did trade below December lows, I mean, I guess next most obvious target would be about 46, 47%. I don't think that this plays all that technically though. to be fair, but I guess that would be the technical target. Is it possible? Yes. Is it what I think is going to happen? Probably not. I still think, though, you're going to see some altcoins have fucking phenomenal gains, which is effectively your alt season. It's just people who are stuck watching this chart right here are going to be missing out on, especially though, the big winners, and not realizing that, in a market where mostly shitcoins just trend endlessly towards 0 and 0 and 0, while Bitcoin continues to, at least hold its levels or grind up, it's going to be very difficult to get this chart down. Even though alt season actually is happening, has been happening. I mean, we saw memes, we saw AI, those were the two narratives for this current cycle, and they went to the moon and beyond, right? And this chart has been vertical the whole time, right? So, yeah. If it did break, I mean, shit, you already know the answer. Like at that point, I guess everything gets to have mega massive rallies, but I have a really hard time seeing that, honestly. But hey, if this thing's going to reverse, this would be the place to do it from. It should come down more from here, I suppose. But again, I just think it's a lot better to be looking at your favorite shitcoin versus Bitcoin rather than that chart. And that'll let you know, hey, if this thing's actually good right now or not. And that's going to be a lot more direct and a lot more relatable. And yeah. And you'll be one of the first to know rather than one of the last, because everyone's watching that damn Bitcoin dominance derp. So yeah, man. X Moon says, hey sir, been a huge fan of your work and been following since 2020. Fuck yes, dude. Really appreciate all the tools you shared. Awesome, man. Quick question: is Caretaker's RSI good for 1 minute scalping on futures? Like, okay, I thought you were gonna say Bitcoin. Like, Jesus, nothing's good for 1 minute. On NASDAQ futures or GC? If so, what's the ultimate setting for that case? It's not something that I've done. I mean, I haven't traded a 1 minute chart like in probably 10 years, honestly. And even then, like I didn't really trade 1 minute charts. The lowest I traded is about a 5 minute chart. But could you make it work on on a 1 minute chart? I mean, look, the signals are going to, the way that they're programmed is the way that they're going to work. So yes, it will theoretically work. I don't know how much of a fucking move you're going to get from those signals on a 1 minute chart, but 1 minute chart in traditional land is not the same as 1 minute on Bitcoin. I guess you could make it work. I would say 5 minutes probably gonna be a little bit better, but yeah. Anyways, as far as settings, if you're going to do a 1 minute chart, I would use a relatively low look back. Like it definitely no higher than 22 bars. So yeah. That would be some that I think would be worth testing out, but I haven't done this in such a long time that I wouldn't be able to tell you anyways. Also, how does a PA pivots perform for this kind of scalping? Well, you got to decide whether you're going to use the RSI or PA pivots. I mean, PA pivots is going to give you a bias on the direction of trend, whereas RSI is actually going to inherently do that as well, but they're not like, it's not like you're going to get a lot from using both of them at the same time. The RSI is going to tell you more. The price action pivot is going to tell you more about the trend. But if you're on the 1 minute time frame, I don't think and as you said, you're scalping, you probably don't care too much about the trend anyways. So yeah, I just pay attention to the RSI. Now, if you wanted a trend trade, then yeah, the PI pivot is fucking amazing. Or you could use it as like a scalping tool as well. A lot of the time you will see, pullbacks from the, from whatever upside level it's calling or bounces from whatever downside level it's calling. But it's going to be difficult to judge targets from that because they're not going to be like how do you, I guess you could measure all of those moves and then come up with like an average of what the general move is from those tests and those bounces or pullbacks, and then trade that. I guess that could work, yeah. But that's something for you to test, my man. I'm not going to do it on this video. We're already close to an hour here. Till Death one says, best to you, sir. Wait, no, oh yeah, hey man, you asked this one earlier. Bastard. Observer 007 says, just want to say thanks for what you do. Been watching fuck yeah, man. A lot of people from 2021. This is good. Thank you, man. Also, I've done very well. And part of that is from turning into your videos. Also found out that I'm redacted, lobotomized, and even gay too. From Southern California though. So that was expected. No kidding. Just might be the air quality. Yeah, man. All good. And very glad to hear that, man. That's very humbling, honestly. Karama Loot says, hey Crown, potential for bearish divergence on monthly time frame for a tethered dominance. To bearish divergence, you can't have bearish divergence in a downtrend. So There's hidden bearish evidence, yes. Yeah, and Caretaker's RSI is identifying that. So you can have hidden bearish evidence in a downtrend, and yeah, this one does have it. And that's why I do think generally this chart's going to get back down around these lows at some point, and that's probably going to be the end of this cycle. But, you know, that can still take some time, to be fair. And shit price can go up a lot, even on what is a relatively small move for tether dominance there. Unicord says, hey, Crown, please check out Sui. Okay, just one, sir, just one. Let's do Sui. That's probably the more popular one anyways. And I just looked at it yesterday, so I should be able to remember like what was going on here. You know, you're going to have hidden bullish evidence here as well. You're getting lower lows on the daily RSI alongside what would be higher lows on price action. So does it get another run back around $4 or maybe a little bit above $4? Probably, yeah. Needs to confirm the local low here. Will do it if you do close above yesterday's high at 386.5 for today. But, you know, when I look at the weekly, when I look at the 5-day, when I look at the higher term timeframes, I do like that $4 region, but I also think it's going to pull back from there, to be honest with you. 4 hour just calls it a range, basically $4 the upside versus 385 to the downside, or sorry, not 385, 367 to the downside. So if you do break below 367, then I would be looking for a correction down to like 3.25 ish, 330 to 3.25, something like that. But yeah, fair enough. All right. I think we are just about as close to an hour here as possible. And actually, I think that we got all of the ones today. Holy shit, we did it. We actually got through everything today. It's a first for a very long time. Anyways, I want to say massive thank you for everyone joining in. As always, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.